I am the shadow teacher, and many of my videos in 2022 have been about creating structure in your life. Structure that supports you becoming the identity of the kind of person who achieves the kind of things that you want to see manifest in your life, who creates that. And again, much of what I've talked about is structure and behaviors and building steady practices, but I want to move in the different direction today. When I was a young child, I took so much joy in free play, just letting my imagination take me where it wanted to go, going outside and playing, just having this unstructured time where my imagination, my body, and being in a beautiful environment took synergy and would just essentially just take me to another world. And my favorite class, well, actually, I had several favorite classes. I loved art class when I was a kid in elementary school, and I loved PE class up to the point where we started playing sports, because these early PE classes, these early years we had this unstructured play where we could just go outside, just swing on the monkey bars, climb ropes, just do whatever we wanted to do as long as we were moving around. And as adults, we lose this value. Eventually, the society and the world we're in discourages this type of free play, using the imagination and unstructured time, unstructured movement with the body, just being able to play, be silly, be goofy. And just those words I use, silly, goofy, those are words of judgment. And that's what happens to kids at some point. Usually this starts with sports, when you're starting to get that structure where you have to have these specific skills to develop so that you can have a specific outcome, having the skills to compete, which again, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But this unstructured play, this freedom of the mind and freedom in the body, there's just great value in that. And what I find as an adult, I found places where I could come back to that. Example, a few years ago, there was a movement studio not too far where I live, and they would offer these alternative movement ideas. And they had a class for ecstatic dance. It was not so much a class, it was just an offering. And ecstatic dance, it's built off of 5 rhythms. There's basically 5 musical movements. And you just go and you let your body do what it wants to do. You allow the music to move you. And I found just great joy in doing this time, just going to this ecstatic dance. I could be exhausted from a day of work and show up there and just let the music move my body and just see what would show up. And initially, I could see the conditioning of an adult mind, the limitations, the judgment, saying, well, what are those people doing? Or are they going to judge me? Am I going to be cool here? Am I going to be valued? Those thoughts would come up. But that was sort of the value of that, is observing those thoughts coming up and being able to move through them and just move and see what happens. And there's also this very cool type of movement that was associated with ecstatic dance called contact improvisation dance. And that's something that had some specific skills, where people would make contact with each other and create these movements, these flow movements together. But either way, even if you didn't have that, just going and being in that experience and moving free and creating and flowing and playing, it recaptured that childlike freedom of movement and freedom of the mind. And a lot of times now the class is not offered, and I've gotten out of the practice of setting space for that for me. And just a few weeks ago, I started to do that again. I just said, why don't I listen to a tune and just move and dance and just see where it takes me? And one of my friends and coaches as well who offers holotropic breath work, a lot of times before we start the breath work, when she would offer her classes, she would have us dance, just free move, just the whole thing of just getting out of our schizoid, paranoid, neurotic heads and getting into our body, being able to feel our bodies and let go. So having something in your life where you're able to play and just feel that flow state, that ecstasy of playing and letting go, letting your imagination and your body just take you on a journey, that has amazing value for being the sovereign human being. It's like a detoxification for all the tension that we built up in our minds, our psyches, and our bodies. And so I offer you this as you're building your practice, as your structure. As adults, too, again, a lot of times when we do these things, sometimes you'll just feel it and go. But other times it might be just something you say, I'm just going to set this time aside and I'm just going to call this unstructured time. And whatever shows up, if I feel like dancing and moving, it's not putting too much pressure, just giving yourself time, unstructured time of play, unstructured play. And whatever shows up in that time, just let yourself do it. And what that does is that recaptures, that stokes that primordial flame that you have as a child that gets extinguished for many people. And when you tap into that flame, that magic of creativity returns to you. And I believe that creates magic when you have the skills and the structure and the discipline of adult with the unbounded creativity of a child. We make magic in the world. With that being said, make your magic. Be strong, be well. I'm ending this transmission, and I will see you on the other side.